What is up, YouTube? My name is Eben, and today I have brought you something I've been wanting to bring you for a long time, and that is a Mega Gallade EX deck. Obviously, it operates around Mega Gallade EX, who has 220 HP, a nice little 2 energy retreat, weak to psychic, no resistance, but nobody really cares because it's all about his attack, which is 2 psychic and a colorless for 110 damage, and it deals 30 damage to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon that has any damage counters on it. So clearly the name of the game here is try to get damage on the benched Pokemon so we can rack up even more and start one-hit KOing with our Unwavering Blades and just setting ourselves up for just sort of a cascade of knockouts with this thing's attack. To support him, we've got 3 Gallade EX, and they are all the one from the set, not the promo. It's largely because his Swift Lunge is interesting, but his Piercing Prizes early game can be a very punishing attack in and of itself. Add 50 damage and then 20 more for each of your remaining prize cards. So when you have 6 prizes, that's going to be 6 times 20 for 120, and then that's going to be that base 50 on top of that, so that's 170. So like I said, this guy can be pretty punishing in the early game by himself, so he's clearly preferable. That's 6 mons right there. And the support that he really needs is Crobat. And, of course, the rest of the bats. Just like in every bats deck, it's all about their ability, where you play them and they put damage on things. Crobat himself, when you play him from your hand, puts 3 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. And he has Free Retreat to boot. And speaking of things with Free Retreat to put damage on things, Golbat does the same kind of thing, only he does 2 damage counters instead of 3. But it is interesting to note in this deck that he does have this one attack for 1 energy that deals 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. So Golbat attacking could be a way to set up your Mega Gallade, so don't forget that attack. If the situation's right, that might be a really cool way to make an Unwavering Blade do a lot of spread damage. And to support all this, we've got 3 Zubats. We're keeping this standard, not expanded, so we don't get the free floating Zubat that can retreat for free when it has no energies. But this guy's got the fighting resistance and 50 HP, so that's not too horrible, and his whole mission in life is to become bigger bats anyway. And we do have a 16th Pokemon, more than I usually like to run, but we are running 1 Shaman EX. Not necessarily because I think we'll play our hand out that often necessarily, but because with the amount of cards we have that can take a Pokemon from the bench and put it back in our hand, the ability to take advantage of his setup ability is just a little too great to ignore. So we are going to include this guy as a nice target for that reason. Play it carefully, of course, because Lysander on Shaman EX can be a bad thing, you know? Okay, we are going to run for Juniper / realistically for Sycamore, but still technically in format, so yeah, for Juniper. And we're going to run 4 Shauna, and this is just a guaranteed card draw, and we're just trying to draw and play things in our first few turns, trying to get a very fast setup here. We're going to run 2 Az, or AZ. This is just guaranteed retrieval of a Crobat family, so that you can just replay them, re-evolve them, keep spreading damage, but you can save your Mega Gallade in a pinch if you have to. And of course it can also retrieve your Shaman EX, not bad, not bad. 1 Lysander, because obviously this can help us pick up some knockouts, and this is especially poignant in this deck, because your opponent can try to set up things on the bench, of course, for revenge killing, and in this deck you've got enough damage that you can, with just a little help from your bats all in 1 turn, you can Lysander, Unwavering Blade, and pick up a very nice KO that's going to set your opponent back many turns, and quite possibly set them back so far that they won't be able to recover. So this is one of those decks where the Lysander means more than just kind of throwing your opponent off. It could easily mean winning the game when played correctly, just by setting up KOs more easily with the bats. So, keeping that in mind, we do have 1 last supporter, and that is Team Flare Grunt. And this card made the deck partially because, hey, you know, it's probably going to buy us a turn in any matchup, but especially because Seismitoad can be problematic for us. I almost included 2 just because of that, but I decided not to get super paranoid, and we do have some other ways of dealing with Seismitoad in a pinch. Mega Gallade can usually take him one-on-one if he needs to. And forcing switches and things like that with regular Gallade EX. These are ways we can kind of deal with the Toad. But obviously, Grunt does a lot of damage as it pulls off those precious few double colorless energies from them. And obviously you can play this, and if your opponent doesn't get to lock you with his Quaking Punch, you can always just Versus Seeker in between when you're not under Quaking Punch lock to get this thing back and be ready to threaten your opponent with it again if they manage to lock you again. So, things to keep in mind there. Now, as for items, we are running 4 Trainer's Mail because we got lots of good things to get. And obviously this gets us our supporters, helps create consistency and make sure we're drawing cards in the early game, which is very important for this build. But it also gets us things like our Gallade Spirit Links. We're just running 2. Now I want to test this deck more and maybe post another version of it a little bit later. But I am going to opt for just the 2 Gallade Spirit Links here. Because we're probably not going to Mega Evolve 3 times. We have a fair amount of draw power. You get the idea. So hopefully these 2 Spirit Links will be enough, because 3, we don't want extra copies of that. It's not going to do as many favors. We're also running 4 Super Scoop Ups. That shouldn't be too much of a surprise. It just picks up your Crobats and lets you replay them and put more damage down. Pretty straightforward. We have to run 4 because obviously coin tosses, and it's just a good effect anyway. We have 2 Ultra Balls. We're opting for this because that can be a very useful card for getting your Mega Gallade and whatnot. And also getting Zubat is pretty crucial. We only have 7 basic Pokemon in the deck, and at least one of them, the Shaman, is not a very good starter. So we want to kind of be able to get anything we want. And the Ultra Ball's here for that. And I say anything we want because we do have 2 Repeat Balls, but they only get things we've already got, which is very good for our bats. But obviously it's a little hard to get that going if you don't even know the Zubats to get started. So yeah, we are opting for those 2 Ultra Balls, but these Repeat Balls are a good way to help once we get a good start, keep it going. That's what those are for. And we are going for 3 Versus Seeker. We could have opted for 4 or even 2 depending on how we wanted to build the deck. I like this sort of middle road of 3. It's a very good way to take advantage of Az multiple times and Lysander. And of course, in the early game, if our supporters are not necessarily giving us a lot of draw power, it can go get that 1 Shauna or that 1 Sycamore/Juniper, whichever one you're choosing to run. It can go get that and let you reuse it just to keep up the card drawing. We have 1 copy of Professor's Letter. We're not running a whole lot of energy, and this can be a way for our Trainer's Mail to potentially get us into some energy. So we have opted for the 1 letter just in case. We're also running a copy of Sacred Ash in case mid to late game a lot of our bats have found their way into our discard pile. Sacred Ash can be a nice out to getting them back so that we're not just kind of out of bats and Mega Gallade's kind of sitting there not putting in enough work because of that. This can be a good way to put them back, and then we can redraw them and reuse them. So it is nice to have that 1 copy there. And we're also running 3 copies of Dimension Valley, partially to get rid of other stadiums that can be damaging to us, but also because Mega Gallade can attack for just 2 energy with these, and our bats all attack for free with this. So it's pretty useful. You may want to hold it and play it at the right time to keep it from getting replaced by your opponent's stadium for no benefit to you. But this is also a great way to get rid of Rough Seas, which is a very damaging stadium to us. Because of how we like to spread damage around, that stadium is very bad news for us, so we definitely want to override it. If your opponent's running something water or lightning-y, this card is a card you're going to want to play very carefully to get rid of those. Otherwise, you could be in a very difficult situation where you're forced to, stack all your damage on 1 mon kind of thing with your bats just so that they can't erase all of it, and it's just not very pretty. And last but not least, obviously, we are running 10 Psychic Energies to make sure that Mega Gallade gets to do his thing. We could have run Mystery Energies, but some people are running Enhanced Hammer, and Zerosic is a thing, and I want to kind of minimize our opponent's abilities to punish us for special energies that we don't realistically really need. If we do have to pay a retreat cost, it's going to be kind of rare, but I would rather discard those 2 energies than get messed up by your opponent just playing random special energy removal. So anyway, there we go. That is the deck, and until next time, like, comment, subscribe, check me out and follow me on Twitter for information before anybody else on YouTube is going to get it. Link is down below, and I will see you next time.